Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. The recorded use of lavender from ancient times to today is extensive. Archaeologists reported a faint scent of lavender when they opened the tomb of Tutankhamun. And it's long believed Cleopatra used lavender to seduce Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Today, lavender is used in everything from soaps and lotions to cupcakes and cotton candy. Medical research has shown lavender is a beneficial sleep aid, pain reliever, and it's used in hospitals to reduce anxiety before and after surgery. So when we heard a lavender farm was opening to the public in the Northeast Kingdom, we smelled a story. Here's Across the Fence's Keith Silva.
The view from the top of the hill at Lavender Essentials of Vermont is breathtaking. Second only to the scenery is the story behind how this one-of-a-kind business got started.
In the words of Sun Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, we backed ourselves against a mountain of dry trees and leaves and sticks, and we lit it on fire.
After separate and successful careers, Michelle Judd and Pierre Capron met and fell in love. In 2017, they quit their jobs, cashed in their 401ks, and sold a house to start a lavender farm on Judd's family land in Derby.
I've probably always been a risk taker. That's kind of a family value instilled in me by my parents. I'm a firm believer in if your dreams don't scare you, they're probably not big enough.
It was a bit of a risk. It remains a bit of a risk. There's no question. We've learned a lot about growing lavender. In fact, our first year was not very, it was not very, we were not very successful our first year. We lost up to 70% in our first wintering.
Lavender is one of the top 5 most profitable crops to grow, according to Modern Farmer, a resource for food producers and consumers. 1 acre of lavender can fetch about $125,000 in retail sales from dried bouquets alone. Value-added products like soaps, oils, and lotions increase that value. The USDA recommends growing lavender in a hardiness zone of 5 or higher. The farm here in Derby falls below that threshold. The key is getting the lavender established.
We know that there was a farm that was north of us that was quite successful. It can be done. Once you get it established, there's no pests or bugs or diseases that really affect it. It's a very hardy plant. Getting it established and getting it to winter are the biggest hurdles. It worked out to be a nice niche product or crop, which is important to the diversity of the agriculture in the state of Vermont.
Growing lavender is what sparked this couple to start farming, and they want visitors to share in their dream.
One of the biggest goals that I have personally is to give people something to do. Having grown up in Derby most of my life, lived there most of my life, the common question that people ask is, what is there to do? We want to create a destination that you can come to for a very small amount of money and find something to do. And if you drove 10 minutes to get here or 2 hours to get here, hopefully in our mind, you'll never forget. So here on the farm, we invite people to come, take some time, enjoy the view, get outside. We want people to slow down, kind of disconnect from technology and connect with each other.
Life is busy. It's very difficult to unwind. But when you get here, the raw nature, the slight breeze, hear the birds chirping, and the sun in your face, it's decompressing.
What Capron and Judd offer is called agritourism. Come for the lavender, stay for the experience.
It's really important to diversify your economic base in any community, not only a rural community, in order to keep the community vibrant and alive.
Jane Kolodinsky is the chair of UVM's Community Development and Applied Economics. She believes diversified agriculture and agritourism strengthen Vermont communities and local economies.
So these specialty types of agriculture, diversified agriculture, are really important, and I think it's an exciting time to reinvigorate agriculture and to look at it in a little bit of a different way, because Vermont is not the commodity state. We don't have huge swaths of wheat farms, and we don't even have huge swaths of dairy farms. It's small, it's scrappy, and you've got to be able to make a go for it. So you've got to have that passion, you've got to run the numbers, but it seems to me to be a way to keep the fabric and the history of Vermont that can strengthen other economic opportunities and keep our tourism base strong as well.
Essential for the owners of this farm at the top of Vermont is for visitors to make memories, to stop and smell the flowers.
Hopefully what you get out of this is something so much more than our 10-acre field of plants and crops. You get a feeling of home. Often they come here and they're very wound up when they come and they're like, what do we do? What do we do? What is there to do? And we say, this is not an amusement park. This is a peaceful place for you and your family. And that same person comes to me in an hour down at the little retail shop to purchase some lavender products. And they're like, wow, this reminded me of my gram and my grandfather did this, or when I was a child. And then suddenly they're reminiscing about where they used to live, or maybe where they want to live, or where they went on vacation. So it becomes kind of a progression of feelings when people come here. And that's kind of cool to have created that for people.
For a farm built on a dream, the reality of Lavender Essentials of Vermont offers the opportunity to slow down, take in the sights, and celebrate the uniqueness of Vermont agriculture. In Derby, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
For more information about hours, admission, and events taking place at Lavender Essentials of Vermont, go to their website listed on the screen. And one other footnote you may have noticed, the two young men helping out at the farm. Those are Pierre and Michelle's sons, Armand and Dominique. They wanted to say hi to everyone here at CAX and Across the Fence. Right back at you, boys. For the start of our next story, we're staying in the Northeast Kingdom town of Derby. Like many Vermont communities, the citizens of Derby gave their full duty to the Union Army during the Civil War. 53 of those who volunteered lost their lives in what was called at the time the Great Work. Many Vermont communities suffered similar losses, and when the war ended, the towns constructed memorials to those who served and died. Let's join Howard Coffin as he travels across Vermont visiting memorials and monuments to the veterans of the Civil War.
The towns that were hit hardest by the Civil War here in Vermont erected the first memorials. Here in Derby Line, this monument was erected on October 31st, 1866. Two speakers at the dedication, Josiah Grout, veteran of the Vermont Cavalry, soon to be governor, and a man named B.H. Steele, who said, 53 of the soldiers of our town lost their lives in the great work, and such lives, young, ardent, promising lives, around which clustered our fond hopes and tender aspirations. The monument has a plaque listing the names of all the soldiers from Derby who served. There are stars beside the names of those who died. There are many stars. One of Vermont's most intricate Civil War memorials stands here on the green in Coventry, dedicated in 1912, and made not of stone, but of metal. It has the likenesses of George Dewey, the hero of Manila Bay who won a Medal of Honor in the Civil War at Vicksburg, of Abraham Lincoln and George Garrison Stannard, heroes of Gettysburg, and of Ulysses Grant. It also has the names of major battles. And there's a quotation on this monument that I like. "'Tis a rough land of rock and stone and tree, where breathes no castle lord nor cabin slave, where thoughts and hands and tongues are free, and friends will find a welcome, foes a grave." Brattleboro's Civil War monument on the north side of the village in the town common is one of Vermont's finest. Atop it, a Union soldier looks south toward the old battlefields. The monument is from a grateful town honoring the 385 Brattleboro men who served. It includes a plaque bearing the state seal, a list of many of the major battles in which Vermonters fought, and also there are the healing words of Lincoln, from the second inaugural address, with malice toward none, with charity to all. Woodstock honored its 289 veterans by putting an eagle-topped monument by the village school. Years went by, and the veterans decided it wasn't adequate, so they put up a new one in Tribou Park on the east end of town. It was dedicated on Memorial Day 1909. 1,500 people were present to see 30 young women in white dresses pull the flag off the great edifice, while the old veterans gave 3 cheers and a tiger. Roar! The monument honored Woodstock soldiers who had fought from Big Bethel to Appomattox, Big Bethel being the first battle of the war in which Woodstock troops had fought. The Woodstock monument faces due east. Vermont monuments to the Civil War face in any direction, north, south, east, and west. Confederate monuments almost all face north, so as not to have their backs to the Yankees. But the Union won the war. Vermonters didn't care which way they looked.
Thank you, Howard, and thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.